In this video, I'm going to demonstrate how PostTrans can import sales receipts into Sage 50 and match them off against outstanding invoices by a reference number. So the scenario for this might be that we've got an external system that's generating invoices. We're possibly bringing them into Sage, or maybe we've entered them manually, but we're bringing them into Sage and we have a reference number against them. Maybe it's the external reference number of the account or transaction reference from an external system. And so the sales receipts all match a matching invoice within Sage 50 already. In order to demonstrate this then, I'm first going to have to import a whole load of invoices to simulate the external data. And then I'm going to import a whole series of sales receipts which are going to be matched off by the customer order number. So this requires the Pro version of PostTrans in order to enable this functionality. So let's demonstrate this within PostTrans. Okay, I've already got my example template open, but I'm just going to show you how I would have accessed that. I'll just go to the PostTrans toolbar, press the Help button, which now lists all my example spreadsheets. Now, if I type in the start of receipts, you can see there I've got my two examples, and I would have double-clicked on here to open this spreadsheet. Now, from what we just saw, we first need to import a whole series of invoices. So the SI tab down here gives access to our template for importing a load of sales invoices. So here we've got the transaction date, due date, the fact they're all SI for sales invoice, and the account code they're going to be imported into. So they're all going into Bob's Building Supplies, and you can see here we've got some other references. So then the contact, maybe we might have the customer name. But the important thing is we're bringing in the customer order reference against each invoice. Obviously, there's a description, and each invoice is for £100. And it's going to the nominal code 4003. So let's import that into Sage. So we just press the import button. And we've got the confirmation window turned off, so it's just gone through there and imported 29 invoices into Bob's Building Supplies. So let's go and have a look at Bob. Let's just go up to invoices. So we can see here we've got a whole series of £100 invoices in the system. I'm just going to select all those and update the ledger so they appear on the account as an outstanding invoice. And we press update ledgers, so that's going to update our ledger. So now that's updated the ledger. Obviously now if we go to Bob's Building Supplies, we should see a whole series of invoices. They say it's over the credit limit. All £100 outstanding, there they all are, which is the invoices we've just brought in. And if we double click and open one of those, I think we'll see on the order tab here the customer reference number. So that's what we're going to match off our sales receipts against. So as I said earlier, this could have come in from an external system, these invoices, and maybe a week or two later we have a sales receipt reach the system. And so let's import the sales receipts. So let's go back to this tab. Now you can see we've got a lot simpler interface. Again, we can rearrange this. We can put a file import button on this template pretty easily. Again, there's a blog about importing from file, very simple. But you can see here I have a match column. And in my match column, I have all the reference numbers we saw on our invoices, matching the customer order reference. I have a payment of £100, and I have the reference of the transaction, maybe a check number or an electronic banking number, etc. At the top here, I can set the bank account number. So if I press space and tab away, we activate the search within PostTrans, and you can see there all my bank accounts. I'm going to press return and leave that as the current account. Again, space and tab away, and now I can see all the different ways PostTrans can match off the invoice against the receipt. So here we can say the customer order number, which is what we're going to demonstrate here, but we could use the invoice number or the sales or purchase order reference and the analysis code. So we can pop a unique identifier in any of those, or we can match off against the oldest outstanding value against an account. Anyway, let's stick to customer order number, and there we go. So now if I press the import button again, we should find that PostTrans will scan the sheet. Now it's first said, right, okay. What it does is it reads the whole debtors list in before it starts matching off. And what it's just telling me there is at 131, it was the last time it read in that debtors list. Now we've imported some invoices that we want to match off. So now we need to tell it to re-import that debtor list. So I'm just going to press yes to refresh that information in the memory. And now PostTrans has read the first line of the receipt list. And you can see here, it's telling me it's going into Demo 01, the first company. And it's matched by that value there. It's matched off by customer order number, and it's applying exact or anything less. Indeed, we can change this value here so it will only match off exact value, so we can add a little bit more extra validation to it. It won't over allocate anything, so that's sorted. Anyway, reading down here, you can see here the invoice it's found that's matching off this reference number. So it's going to allocate a new sales receipt against that invoice. So now if I press post, you can see now the status line has now been updated with the sales receipt number allocated to the sales invoice number. Now I have the facility here to cancel and cancel all, or post another one. I'm just going to cancel all, because probably now, once you're happy with this feature, you would probably want to go in here and turn off the summary. So now if I turn off the summary, I do believe it should now process everything in one batch. Now we've read the debtors list already, so I can just press no, and you can see there it's just matched off all those invoices within Sage line 50. So of course now if we switch back to Sage and we kind of refresh the screen a little bit, we should now be able to see on Bob's Building Supplies in his activity here, we've got a whole series of sales receipts that have come in. So sales receipt 159 was allocated against 1302. So if we scroll up here, we should start to see some invoices. 1302 must have been the first one, which it would have been 1302. And there it is. So it's not outstanding anymore, and we can see there that the sales receipt 1359 paid off this invoice. So it was that simple. We've basically brought in a file, searched for all the invoices, allocated them all off. Job's done. If you're watching this video from YouTube, to go to our website, simply click on the link in the description below. If you're already on our website, you can scroll down slightly, and below this video you'll probably see some related links to associated articles. Let's just show you some of the resources on the website. Switch over, here's the home page. You can see here we have a series of menus at the top, and if you allow them to expand, you can see there all the different types of importation or extraction you can use with PostTrans and Sage, and also the transactions you can post. But importantly, there's a training section here. If we go to the training section, that describes in detail how to alter a PostTrans template using the tags that we briefly discussed in the demonstration. Also on the website is a blog which you can subscribe to, and I thoroughly recommend that, so then you can learn of new functionality and uses of PostTrans, because each of these articles maybe hones in on a particular function, a particular tag, or a particular way of using the product to do a particular job. For instance, expanding bill of materials on an order, code searching, protecting templates, importing CSV files, pricing, managing VAT, order currency, you name it, it's all in there. And that is easily accessible from the software itself. So if I switch back to a template, and this one's an order template, and I've just got the tag window open here on the right, but you'll see as I scroll down, this one here, TL description, which is the actual product description, actually has a blog article. So clicking on there takes me to that blog article and explains in great detail the implications of using that tag and the many different options, maybe in system setups, alters and behavior of that tag. So hopefully that will help. Also we have the help button itself on the button bar, which takes you to kind of a context sensitive help, and also takes you to the training page, which explains how to manipulate and alter that template. And in addition to all that, of course, we have these blue help buttons here, which are easily accessible. They're also in the setup windows within PostTrans. So again, that takes you to a blog article. For instance, this one's about making the cursor follow a certain path. That will then take you to that article and explain how you customize that individual functionality. So there, I hope you've seen many different functions and online resources that we provided you to enable you to customize PostTrans to create a template to help you or your customers. So I thank you very much for watching this video. In this video, I'm going to demonstrate using PostTrans to bring in a nominal journal from Excel into Sage 200. The first one I'm going to show you is a nominal journal with a contra line. In other words, I can list a whole load of lines booked to various nominal codes, and the other side of the journal is contraed automatically. Next, we're going to move on to a nominal VAT journal. So PostTrans can also be used to post stock adjustments, invoices and sales and quotes, purchase orders, manage bill of materials, price lists and all sorts of things. It's also feature rich in that it's got in-cell searching and validation as it imports the data. And of course it's available for Sage Line 250 and in the future Sage 1. Okay, so let's see PostTrans in action. So here we are within Excel. We've got our PostTrans toolbar enabled. I'm going to press the Help button, which accesses context-sensitive help and all the examples included with the system. So I'm just going to type nom in the search bar here, and now we can see all our examples of various different types of nominal journal templates we've got that come with the system. So I'm just going to double click on Contra, and you can see now that's opened, and let me just move that to the correct place. And what do we got here? Okay, so we've got a header region here, so we place some fields on there, and here we can see we've got our nominal. We're telling PostTrans that it's a nominal journal. We can do reversing journals and various other things, and we're specifying our contra nominal account there, so that's going into our bank current account, and that's the description. Oh, that's not a very good description. Let's type in there 168. I think maybe that needed refreshing there. So you can see PostTrans has filled in the correct contra description there. If you need any help on this, you can double click here to go to the blog article that explains all about this kind of template. Now down below we can see we've got a whole load of nominal journals, and we've got the cost centers and departments already filled in. Now that looks as if that could be difficult to fill in, but it's not too difficult because we can do things like we can say space, and if I type oil in, we'll find PostTrans will find all nominal cost center department combinations with the word oil in the description, and we just select it, fills in the details, and we can enter the figures associated. So we're debiting all those nominal accounts, and then we're going to credit our contra account, which in this case is the bank account. Of course, if we knew the nominal code, we could type in 1603, for instance, then tab away, and there are all those nominal codes with various cost center department combinations. So hopefully you can see it's very easy to enter the data. And of course, this could have you could have a formula, a template that you open, which has all got a load of formulas in to calculate these values based on some accounting principle. So how do we import this? Let's just simply go in and press the import button, and now you'll see PostTrans has read all the individual lines and it's giving me a breakdown of what's going to be posted. So I have the chance here to make sure that the journal is correct before I'm posting it in. And obviously it has to balance. The system would not allow a unbalanced journal to be posted in. And now, having pressed that, we can see it's brought in that journal. So that's journal 44. So now if I switch back to Sage, if I switch to Sage 200 and just refresh the screen, we should see now our journal 44. So if we switch to Sage 200, we should be able to see in the deferred waiting postings list our transaction. Let's just refresh the screen to make sure we're at the top. And there we can see we've got umpteen lines adding up to £379.23. So that's credited the bank account and debited all the other nominals we specified. And the nominals were specified as cost centers and departments. So you can see there we're using this combination where you specify the nominal and then / cost center and then department. Now, if you wish, it is actually possible also to break it up so you can specify the nominals and the cost center and department in separate rows. So you've got total flexibility there. I would say that this is probably easier to be entering if it was manual, but this might be better if you were using formulas and etc. to apply certain figures to certain nominal codes. Okay, so that about concludes that demonstration of the contra side. Of course, we said we were going to do. So now let's move on to a not. So now let's move on to a nominal with VAT. So again, here you can see we've got another template. We've got exactly the same items entered at the top. It's going to be a contra, but this time we've added some extra tags. And though I haven't explained tags, basically you can rearrange the screen and add columns to your journal by simply going in and selecting from this list here to designate a certain column to hold certain figures. So again, as we'd expect, if we type in space and oil, and we have to type in space just so PostTrans knows that you want to do a search, we can go down here and select an item. Now you can see there it's also set the tax type as input and standard rate, because these are formulas, these are values set on the heading. But these are not formulas. PostTrans actually knows that these are headers, PostTrans headers, and it's copying them down. So it's going to also calculate the VAT. So if I said there was £20 to debit there, you can see it's added £4 tax onto that line automatically. And of course, if I change the VAT rate, if I press space and tab away, we can see all our VAT rates. So if I zero rated it, it's now zeroed it and it's moved back to 4 if I type a 1 in there. So you've got the facility there for searching, and it's all going on behind the scenes. PostTrans is very intelligent, doing all the work for you. Okay, so now let's post this into Sage 200. Let's press the import button, and you can see that PostTrans has scanned down there all the lines that make up that nominal journal, and it's shown us the breakdown of the journal for confirmation before it's posting in. Of course, you can turn this off in system settings if you wish. So I can again post that, and now we can see on the left hand side the journal reference has come in. So it's journal 45. So of course, if I now switch back to Sage 50 and I refresh my Sage 200 and I refresh my screen. Let's just refresh that. You can see there Journal 45 begins here. So these are all our individual lines, and we can see here that's the total plus the VAT content. So that's all been posted into Sage 200.